The heavier mug has the instant, and David Hockney's is the cup.
Bring it to me now, the other cup. Just give it to me. Bring the cup. Give me the cup. Oops. Okay. Right. Stop that now. You can take this. Can you either take the cup or the camera? Now, I don't know whether that was blurred or not, but it doesn't matter. If you, sorry, take that. Now, in a sense, what I did there was filmed from my point of view what she did, and even bringing me the cup of coffee, even if in the film it looks blurred. She gave the viewer a cup of coffee, actually, didn't she? Really. So I'm going to actually have this cup of coffee, and then we'll do it again, and I'll record it in another way. Right, now, if you then start with the 2 more real cups of coffee.
You don't have to go back in the kitchen. I'll just go up the stairs and back down.
But when she's coming down, you're going to be in. You'll have to move from there now. You'll have to come, because you'd be in it, actually. Yeah. You'll have to leave that space free now. Okay. Okay.
Ready? That one. Hi, Dave. So, how was last night? Oh, anyway, in this play, Gypsy, the line that I had to say was when we were coming into the dressing room, we were noticing how big and beautiful the dressing room, and I had to look around, and I had to say to this girl, Agnes, oh, Agnes. So at rehearsal, I would do it fine, and the night of the show comes, and I step out, and I just breathe and go, oh, Agnes.
Just let me put in another film. There's only 2 on this.
I can act naturally, but not when it's formalized. Oh, now there's a bug in my cup. I can't drink this.
So what we'll do now,
I have no idea.
I'm gonna we'll run these to the 1-hour photo map this afternoon. I'll just see, I can tell by some crude laying out what I've done, I think. There's 5, 30, 150, there's 168 pictures there, isn't there? The moment to play with. If you drive up and down this every day, you become aware of the curves, the amount of bends in it. And suddenly Los Angeles had gone from being a city of straight lines and cubes in a way. These wiggly lines became part of my memory of it, and I made a painting of this canyon. The painting does have a point of view, oddly enough. You can tell you're looking at the canyon from the bottom up to the top, because I painted it not up there, I painted it at the bottom. And the painting was an attempt, in a sense, to deal with a very general point of view rather than one specific view, which of course is what one is in the end trying to do in the photographs. I did even think of making a photograph of doing this. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay, do you know the phone number on there?
581. 851 5863. Sorry, 851 5863. And if you could.
Well, I'll try to get them done as fast as I can. There's another guy will be coming in at another guy will be coming in at 2, so he can help me do this.
Okay, tell him to print everything.
Okay, there you go.
Okay.
David Hockney began making joiner photographs 2 years ago. He was prompted by a visit from Alan Sayag, Director of Photography at the Pompidou Centre, who had come to Los Angeles to plough through the thousands of traditional photographs in Hockney's albums with a view to mounting an exhibition in Paris.
I'd put him off for quite a while. I wasn't that interested. I thought exhibitions of photographs are very boring. But then he nattered me again. I said, well, you come and you pick the photographs because there's too many. So he came here and he stayed here a week. He sat down and he looked through 100 albums, about 120 albums that represent 20 years of photographs. And every evening I'd have arguments with him here about photography. I would sit by that plastic fire and I would tell him why I thought photography was not really a very good medium for an artist. It was too limited. The day after he left, I made a little photographic experiment with the Polaroid by putting 30 of them together. I made a photograph of this house in a way that I'd been trying to paint the house from 3 different viewpoints. And the photograph excited me so much. And, well, time was appearing in the picture. And because of it, space, a bigger illusion of space. Now, the space is an illusion, I was aware of that, but the time is not an illusion. It is real and accounted for in the number of pictures. You know it took time to take them, wait for them, put them down, and so on. And this began, I realized, was giving you this illusion of space that we had not seen, I had not seen in a photograph before. I stopped doing the Polaroids in about the end of May, and I took up drawing again. This was in Martha's vineyard, and this is the bedroom. And I made the drawing with those crayons that you wash with. And then I made a photograph with a little tiny camera, 110 camera, of actually the same scene. Here's the bed. I was quite surprised at the results. When I came back here, I just had them processed at the 1-hour photomat. And they were interesting, although they weren't that interesting. I thought, it's all right, I'll go on drawing, I'll start painting. But I kept making jumps in this, that you'd go along for a while and then a jump. And one jump was doing this, which was of 2 friends in Minneapolis. It's Martin Friedman and his wife from the Walker Arts Centre, and I was staying there. And they did the crossword puzzle as I was having a cup of tea. And the way they did it together, it was like a kind of intellectual contest of some kind. And so I said, well, I'll photograph it. And next morning, I took those photographs. Then I went to London, and I pieced it together in London. I think probably the first picture was taken when she was almost ready to write the word. And then as she got more excited, thinking the word is correct and moves down, it starts with the top of her head and ends with the tip of the pen. And I realized you could make portraits more and more complex, showing different expressions on the face, using the passing of time. And it opened up enormous possibilities. If you then move on to say that, which was done in February in Japan, it's a lunch at the British Embassy in Tokyo. And so when they'd finished eating, we had coffee there, and I spent about 25 minutes more maybe making the picture. Sometimes here I would put the camera down and chat again and then pick it up again later. And for instance, here, the man here who is sat next to me and gives you the feeling of sitting next to me, the only time I did look over his shoulder was when the boy was fetching the brandy and taking it around, because you see somebody, it tends to catch your eye. So, and I'm noticing that, I then pick up the camera and photograph it. I only knew two people, really, Paul Cornwall-Jones here and Gregory. Here you see Paul is being polite and listening. Here's a little bored. The wife of the ambassador is very polite, a little shy. The way her body sits in the chair. The ambassador, in a sense, seems very confident man. He's a scholar. I decided he could even put his hand on his own shoulder, in a way. It's actually on the back of the chair, but if you put it together like that, it could read that way. But that's what a confident person does, in a sense, isn't it? And there's a circular motion in this. In a way, once you start looking at it, it's hard to stop, in a way. You can go on and on, because you can keep taking a rest. As I say, you can rest up here, you can rest through the window for a moment, you can do different things. And it's, in a sense, it's the most complicated one I've done yet.
An hour later, the photomat rang to say that 2 of Hockney's 6 rolls of film had been ruined in the processing.
Oh, God. Well, we'll see. It might not. It might be one of the... If they're both rolls of her walking, then I haven't got anything. Well, let's see. Is he bringing them up? There were a lot of repetitions. There might still be something there, but...
I think it might work or not?
Yeah, it might do. Might do. And now I feel like I'm back in the position of the snapper who says I better take another in case that didn't come out on the same roll. And they do exactly the same thing, so if that didn't come out, neither would the other as well. My father used to do that. I better just take another in case that one didn't come out. And then does it exactly the same way anyway. So they both come out, or they both don't come out. What we've got now. I have to... I'm going through what I went through when I took them, reliving it in a way. I think you have to accept what happens, in a sense, in the processing. I mean, the whole idea, anyway, is based on the fact that they're just snaps. I lit nothing. I mean, the only thing I prepared was thought, in a sense. And then you snap away. I don't want to alter any image. In fact, I don't want to trim any image down because it would begin to look tricky. And it does not look tricky if you just honestly put them all down in some way. There's something, but without the other rolls, I've now missed the bottom. I got the top bit, but the second roll where she's one ended. I remember I began one at the halfway down. And one of the rows is the house itself, which is a pity. But nevertheless, it will work when I take my time to piece it together. It's here. There's enough here to make something of it.
Hockney began to feel that the picture had potential, and he worked on into the evening. He came across a note from the processors.
Mr. Hockney, I'm very, very sorry about the 2 rolls of film. It was an accident. I thought I had pushed the button hard enough, but I didn't. I was trying to get your film done, and I thought the machine was finished, but it never got started, and I exposed it to light. I'm very, very sorry. I know it's not enough, but I didn't know what else I can do. Sorry again, Tom.
He decided to incorporate it into the work.
Frankly, it turned out a lot better than I thought it would, because when you told me 2 had been lost, I thought it would be, wouldn't work. But luckily, the 2 that were lost, in a sense, were up here and here, mostly. I think your eyes come down here. Look at this. You would read this notice that's telling you some of the films were bad. He fucked it up. Then he'll put, and these are some of the ruined roll that you then see, and you then come round here, and then you're going to begin and you watch Freda walk down the steps, come round here, and when you get round to here, you take a little diversion to see these primitive people hiding from the camera. Not mine, but somebody else's, obviously. And then you come here. Her feet, you then follow her feet coming towards Anne. You jump up here and she's struggling with the 3 cups. She's giving a cup to Anne. Anne is taking it with difficulty, turning with her hand, and then going to drink the coffee and sit here. Meanwhile, she brings one to me, which is much closer, because you link this, with this detail of the chair that you can see very clearly, and my shoe. This line is drawn, you see, from the rug that Anne is making, and it's all filled in. So this, you know what's going on about. This gap occurs because I've extended Anne. In a sense, you could fill it in some way if I put the chairs here. But by extending her, I have to extend the picture. And then, what I then did here was this is where I'm really turned round in my seat. But by putting that there, the brick wall, your eye is going to link it with the brick wall over there. And what I really did was emphasize this line that swings right round that I saw. This line of the wall seems to swing round correctly, as it did in the space.